supposed to play with in the bathtub.
I'm John McParland, and this is Dysfunctional Dialogue. I am here today with Alex, my son, Alex, my second born. I love you, Alex. Let's get talking and have a little fun.
Yes, let's.
All right. So, God, now you have to bring the fun now. I'm just going to kick back and be
God.
funny.
I've been racking my brain for weeks. Anytime I try to be fun on command, I can't do it, though.
Wait, on command. So
on command.
I guess it comes. The key word is command, right? Because you and I are very, very similar with our senses of humor. Sorry about that, by the way. And
it's
so
a burden I carry.
No, it's true. But that's it right there. What we just did. That's what we do, right? It's conversational humor. It's just playing off of each other and having a little fun in a moment. But if someone says, "Tell me this, tell me that," in a moment, it's like I've never, and I might have said this on one of my other podcasts, I've like almost never ever told a joke, which people find that odd. Like, oh wait, because I'm always joking around, but I've never really told a joke because it's just not me. I don't think in those terms. I'm not memorizing jokes to say.
I feel like the closest you or I tend to come is just like telling a funny story, which is a lot different. A joke is this like, I don't know. It's like if you condensed a funny story into its barest parts, where it's like a joke, like a funny story is like a lot.
Yeah, that's you're right. You're right. It's like taking a really funny joke, a really funny story, and turning into the priest, a pope, and a beagle walk into a bar.
Right.
A beagle. See,
a beagle, of course. One of Mom's favorite stories to tell about me was, and now one of my favorite stories to tell about myself is when I was like really little. I would sleep with this little guy every single night, and sometimes he gets lost, wedged behind the bed or something, and this was one of those nights. We were coming up to bedtime. I didn't know where he was. I was maybe like 5, probably younger. And my mom's like, okay, we'll find him. We'll look around for him and make sure he's nice and safe for you. Okay. And I was like, oh, Mom, he's just a stuffed animal. And anyway, he can't breathe.
Yeah. I mean, that's just priceless. That's just, and you said it. And I remember this. You said it in such a way where you were just like, the world was collapsing around you, and he can't breathe.
Yes, yeah. You have to picture me also like in tears.
Yes.
Like suddenly.
It's a stuffed animal. Like, wow. Yeah, like suddenly like you have oh wow, look at the reason coming out of this little tiny tot. And then all of a sudden, okay, back to reality. All right.
Right. The reason was the fantasy briefly. And
right. That's about right.
Emotional outburst.
Yeah, that's about right. So, but when I talk about your sense of humor, and your what I refer to as your first joke, right? I mean, you had one where it was not like, well, what was the one you had? It was with bananas, was it?
Oh yeah, knock knock.
Yeah, this is brutal. There? Sorry, everyone. Go ahead. Knock knock. Who's there?
Oh, yeah. Are we doing this like knock knock joke style?
I really don't want to. I want to just.
Okay, I'll just say it.
This was more than a year ago.
A little more than a year ago, at least. Knock knock. Who's there? A banana. Fine. Bananas can't talk.
It's killer humor, but it's typical little kid humor. That's what you would expect, but not too different in a timeline. You were still really, really small. You were toddler age, and you were in the tub, and the water lily babies was the joke, right? And there was just water lily babies, and there was a song to it. Had a song go in a commercial, remember?
So okay. I should explain. The water lily baby was this little plastic toy where you put it. It's supposed to you put batteries in it, and then you put it into water. Yeah. And then it's supposed to
have your kid play with it.
Yeah. I'm guessing next to it on the shelf was like a pretend toaster that you're all supposed to play with in the bathtub. So it like pedals right in the water, and the commercial jingle went, "Water lily babies, they swim into your heart," and I wanted one so bad because it had a fun song and it was a cool looking toy.
Yeah, there's something to
Um,
do in the bathtub. I mean, we all wanted bathtub toys, right?
yeah, I mean, I still have a little rubber duck in the bathtub because like,
Oh, just stop.
okay, fine.
No, I'm kidding. Don't stop,
It's
please.
too much information, I guess.
No, it's not. It's hysterical.
Okay. So yeah, like what little kid is gonna turn up their nose at a toy like that, right? I loved it. I wanted one so bad. We got one. Um,
Hooray.
Hooray.
You were ecstatic you got this thing.
Oh yeah.
It's now
Uh,
bath time.
it's bath time. Batteries in, turned on, working fine. Put it in the water, drops like a stone.
And this little toddler says,
"Water lily babies, they don't know how to swim."
it was such a killer line. Right there, I knew. I'm like, all right, okay. All right, so that is my kid. Okay. Removed any doubt that may have been there.
Right.
Oh man. No, that's awesome. So I got some questions here, right? Just we'll see how we do here with this, right? There's a softball for you.
Okay.
Or maybe come up with some added layers. Would you rather have universal respect or unlimited power?
Oh, whoa. Ooh. I don't trust myself with any measure of power.
Any measure, like any measure,
at all.
like getting out of bed in the morning. That's like a measure of power. You're able to get
Like
up.
at work, they're like, "Alex, could you clear the paper jam?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, what what could I do to destroy this printer right now in this
Well, you would have
moment?"
unlimited power. You would have the power to fix it if you went the other way, right?
I guess. But honestly, though, unlimited respect can get you far.
Yeah, but not only that. I mean, who wants to not have unlimited respect? I think you have to be a little bit psychotic if you go for the unlimited power rather than.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're saying, I would rather than have people respect me, I want them to fear me. I want to rule over them, which is just nuts, right? I mean, that's like the lame response is unlimited respect, of course, but unlimited power. You could do some things with that. You can have a little fun with that.
I mean, you could. I don't even know.
No, there's a lot, right? See, if you had
like,
unlimited power, you have the power of knowledge. You'd be able to answer that question properly.
Of course, yeah. Maybe
so I'm having trouble respecting you by not having the the power to answer this question.
Maybe I'll do the unlimited power, but I'd only use it to clear paper jams.
That's right, because you could choose because you're all powerful, right? You could choose how to use that power, and you would do it for paper jams.
Yeah, I'd have a tremendous amount of restraint. Trust me. I would be the most restrained, all-powerful dictator. I mean, person, not dictator. You didn't hear me say that.
No, well, I didn't hear. Everyone did not hear that, right? For sure.
Yeah.
Would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future?
10 minutes. What good is 150 years going to do me?
Well, why do you say?
Because 10 minutes into the future, I'm still alive for that. 150 years, I am very dead.
So if you could see 10 minutes into the future, what are some of the things that could do for you during your like an average day? Say you're out and about and
sometimes at work we get 15-minute breaks twice a day. And sometimes
you keep bringing it back to work. Whatever you do, please don't tell me that if you knew there was going to be a paper jam in 10 minutes, you would.
I would take my break earlier. No, sometimes a crazy guy
Right.
just comes up to the desk and they're like, I need to make a library card. And you're like, can I see your ID? And they fish out like a grocery store gift card from like the shambles of their wallet, and they're just like, and it's, you have to now explain to this person that that's not what that is,
Yeah,
and that
that's
I
tough.
can't help you here.
Yeah,
And depending on the person, that interaction
yeah,
may or may not go well. And so if I could see 10 minutes into the future, I would know to not be on the desk when that happens.
yeah, yeah. But you know what though? You first of all, you have such a big heart to begin with, and you would be the one. You complain about that, but you want to
Right.
be the one to help that person. You actually would be
Yeah.
the one. You're like, I'm gonna no, because not only do you want to help that person, you want to help your coworkers, right? So you would be the person. So you're a bunch of BS on that. That doesn't work at all. It would all
That
be all
is a
about
good
the
point.
paper jam. It would be all about the paper jam.
Yeah, it basically, honestly, I think the printer is my biggest enemy at that job. Like,
It sounds
whenever
like it.
something, I, okay, you know this from when I was little, that there are certain specific things
Yeah,
that I never can keep straight in my head. One
yeah.
of them is where in the medicine cabinet is the ibuprofen? And one of them is which orientation do you put the piece of paper on the printer to make sure that it prints properly and not just shooting out a blank page that copied the backside of your
Yeah.
paper, or like printing the wrong half and like it was supposed to be in landscape mode.
I blank on that too sometimes. I could tell you this is that we all have things like that.
Oh
We have
yeah.
things that we are just we have failed at it so many times and have such a mental block to learn it, to stop failing it, right? Which is amazing, right? Because if we all have those things that just annoy the hell out of us. We keep on effing up like little tiny little
Yeah.
picadillo things, like not like giant things. Those things we learn and we figure out, but those things you kind of come across like every couple weeks or couple months or something like that, and you're like, oh, I really should just learn this thing, but you don't, and you F up again, and you blow it, and then it's a problem again for 2 months from now.
Something I've heard is that when you tell someone a fake fact that sounds believable, and then you pull the rug out from under them and you're like, no, that actually isn't true, people are somewhat likely to in the future remember the fake fact as being true
I
because it
believe
was
it.
told to them in a believable way, and
Yeah.
because there's like this little like positive reinforcement where like you remember it and you go, yeah, that sounds right, and you keep on going and you don't reflect. And I think it's the same way with a lot of these kinds of things where like I think back on times that I've used the damn printer, or little other little things where I'll go like, oh yeah, I remember that. I think it goes this way. And then it ends up being the opposite way because actually I'm remembering it the way
You're
that I
misremembering.
first tried it the first time.
Yep.
That was wrong.
Yeah, I think that's a really good line that you drew between the two, for sure. I agree with that, and I wonder if what the kind of facts that people would say that are getting remembered, those misrememberings are getting, or rather the 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 incorrect facts are getting remembered as something that is correct. Boy, tough time getting there. So, and I wonder, if it's some of the ones that are a little more out there, right? Because people always they hang their hat. I mean, you see that in social media, right? Everyone's going to like the unbelievable thing because it's eye opening. It catches you, right?
Hmm.
So I wonder if that's some of the stuff that was in that study. I'm curious about that. I would love to learn more about that study. I think that's fascinating. That
Yeah.
the way people remember things.
You know, frankly, I heard this a long time ago. Maybe I'm misremembering it.
Yeah, it's a good point. Oh my God. I am not going to trust my memory on anything anymore after having this conversation with you. Oh, that's
What
brutal.
conversation?
Yes, exactly. Wow, that's brutal. All right, so this is kind of similar. Would you rather have a pause or a rewind button in your life? This is,
Mm, pause.
yeah,
If I messed it up the first time, I'm gonna mess it up the second time.
right.
But
Because
if I don't,
you're not gonna remember the proper way to do it.
right. But a pause button, I could just like, I would think about this all the time as a kid doing my homework, where I'd be like,
Really?
what if I paused? If I could just pause time right now, I would spend the equivalent of 6 hours on this homework assignment, and then I would press play, and it would still be 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I would have my whole night ahead of me. That would be golden.
But do you lose that time? Like, for
Ooh,
instance, I mean, if you're only on this earth for 80 years and you've been pausing for a big chunk of that, is that time now lost? Like,
you
are you
press
still,
play, and suddenly you've gone from 10 to 35,
well,
and
if
you
you left it on pause for a little too long, right? Like, oh shit, I forgot to take it off pause when I was 5. You know, that could be a bit of a problem.
yeah.
I mean, a rewind button, same kind of issues, right? I mean, a rewind button, do you also have a fast forward button? So if I rewound, would I have to then live through all of that again, which usually is not the best thing in the world?
No. I mean, if you rewound, you would have to at least live through it all in real time, right? But if we're aging during that whole time, then that's a big problem, much bigger
It'd be
than the
pretty
pause
fascinating.
button. Be interesting.
I mean, because like again, you're 5 years old, and you don't know whether you have what to do with it.
What's this button do? Suddenly you're a fetus again.
We can't deliver the baby. There's an obstruction. There's like a remote control in there. We're having trouble with delivery.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. I'm remembering now, just like on the topic of childhood carelessness, when I was in second grade, I had that huge cyst on my wrist.
Yeah.
And now I was a second grader. I wasn't aware of the like implications of having an enormous unexplained growth on your body. So I had this thing for months, and I was just like, huh, oh well. And I just kept going. It wasn't bothering me. And then at some point, mom noticed it,
Yeah.
and she like grabbed my wrist and like, what's that? How long has that been there? Okay, honey.
Wow. Just seeing
Like,
you do that, it sounds like you were traumatized by mom's response.
I was, it was definitely a lesson I internalized. I'm like, oh, if I have a big lump on my person, I should probably tell someone. Not a bad lesson to remember.
That's probably a good one. That's probably a good one. Or at least you
Yeah,
think you're remembering it correctly.
right. Yeah, I mean,
I mean, I'm questioning
maybe she
everything now.
didn't care. Maybe I never got that MRI.
It was never a growth. It was never a cyst. Yeah. I remember, and we were looking that up, and like some of like the suggestions were like, "Well, you can smash it with a hammer." And I'm like, what? I'm not gonna.
I remember that.
Do you?
Like it was like take a big textbook and whack it.
Yeah, hold still, my 7-year-old. I'll take care of you. I got the sledgehammer. I'm gonna go grab. We'll knock
I know
that
you're
out. No
scared to
problem.
go to the dentist, but here, Dad's got a big hammer,
Yeah.
and you have a tiny wrist.
Yeah, they won't take care of a cyst in the emergency room, but they will take care of a broken wrist.
Yeah. Yeah, but then you'd have to pay the copay, right?
Well, it's funny. I would always say that, right, when John was jumping on the couches and stuff like that. Back when copays were a little cheaper, frankly. Well, they're still cheap in some places, but he would be jumping on the couches and stuff like that. I'm like, John, if you're going to break anything, it better be a bone and not that couch. That couch is going to cost me another $1,500. I get a copay for $50. So just break a bone, will you? Don't break my couch. Good parenting.
Yeah,
Parenting
honestly,
advice.
it did dissuade me from jumping on the couch.
Well, good. Those couches lasted a long time. All right. So I'm running out of what would you rathers, but I'm having a lot of fun with these. Before I get to the next one, So when you said you were thinking about for weeks, you were thinking about a story to tell while rapping with me here?
I was trying.
See, but think about that. Now we've already come up with stories just by having a conversation, right?
Yeah, I was like trying to prepare, which
Yeah.
is dumb because clearly the MO of this podcast is to be completely unprepared.
It kind of is. I had this one call with my college buddies, Bill Shorey's, Tim Wright, and Jeff Candy. And Bill came prepared. I didn't come prepared. Bill came prepared. I mean, I referred to him as my producer on the call.
Nice.
Yeah, because he's like, "What do you want to talk about next?" I'm like, I'm not telling you what to talk about. When do we ever sit there in a conversation and be like, "So, what's your topic now?" That's just not the way we operate, right?
Right.
But it's fine though. Bill was, it was a show, and frankly, it probably would have been helpful with a couple leading questions. So I actually
Yeah.
learned a little bit of a lesson there. So in some situations, it makes sense to have some leading questions.
And I feel like with some of your friends, some of the stories you have with them, having a little bit of preparation works because then you can more accurately put together the patchwork of drunk memories that people have
Well,
and
why does it have to be
alternative
drunk
accounts.
memories? I don't
Well,
remember being
because I was
drunk.
talking about some of your friends.
Not me though. Not me though.
Oh, not you.
No. Okay, just to be clear, just want to be sure about we're clear on that. Um, have you seen or come across anything particularly interesting, or odd, or unusual, or exciting, bizarre? I'll keep on saying things until something pops in here.
Okay, recently, so I had gotten, this is a total stupid beginning, but I when Nonno passed away, I got one of his rings. And it's a nice ring, but it's real, like it's got a patina and I want to get it polished someday. So I was like looking up local jewelers to maybe get that done at some point in the future. And I came across this one local jeweler, and her website's real cute. I'm looking at it, and she has a thing on her website, like a tab that's like dig for rubies, or mine some rubies. And I was like, okay, I didn't think there were rubies in the place that I live. So I was looking at it, and she's like, I got some dirt from Montana where there's rubies, and you can pay me $5 per cup of dirt
Cup,
to like
on the outside
cup,
chance that in that one cup there's a ruby.
as in 8 ounces, as in like a cup.
Oh my
Like,
God.
she just bought
That's
some fucking dirt.
or she just grab a shovel.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Wow.
yeah, not even bought. She like went, I think it literally is like she went to like a decommissioned ruby mine in Montana and dug up some dirt.
She might have gotten in her backyard.
That's
You
a
know.
good point. Yeah, like, yeah, there's probably rubies in there, maybe. I don't know.
There could be. I mean,
It's totally from Montana, you guys.
who am I to say? Yeah, Montana's it's a town in Ohio.
Yeah. It's from the town of Montana, Ohio.
Oh wow, that is just a brutal scam.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff out there. There's no doubt about that. You know,
This is okay. This reminds me of two
terrible.
things. Number one, it reminds me of the guy who just like sent bills to Google and Apple after having not provided those companies with any type of service at all.
Oh,
Just
really?
sent them bills, and they paid him because their accounting office was like, I don't know, maybe let's
And
we have
probably in those early days, they were
no,
not
not
focused.
early. This was like recent.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Who would
because
imagine?
because they're made of money, and they do a lot of work with other companies. And so they just like, it was more like a act now, think later kind of thing. And they just like paid a bunch of fraudulent bills to a
That's
random guy.
amazing.
I
I
know,
mean, I
right?
can see why that would be their attitude. Like, okay, what's this really going to be worth to us as opposed to a lawsuit? But
Right.
by the same token, I can't imagine a company of that behemoth size not having a system in place where they would have an assigned code to go to a particular vendor that provides a service. And if there's no code there, then there's no pay there. That makes no sense to me. That's bizarre. That's a real thing. People were actually doing it.
That
Can you
one
still do this?
particular guy, and the answer is unfortunately no, because he was found out and sued out of everything.
I bet.
Believe.
Oh
Yeah.
no, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
he should be. Frankly, that's.
But
He should
okay,
be. Come on.
I actually
That's a
think
step.
he shouldn't be,
Oh,
because he
Jesus
sent a
Christ,
bill.
you anarchist. God, what?
You could send anyone a bill. They don't have to pay it. Like, it's not. There's nothing illegal happening here. He's just like, hey,
No,
here's
that's illegal.
write me a check.
That's fraud. That's fraud. It's there's a legal term for it called fraud. It's not fraud with quotes. You're not sitting there in a. I can just see. I've always thought you'd be a good attorney until now. I can just see you talking to the judge. Oh, that's just fraud. It's fraud.
Is it fraud or is it fraud? Hey, judge.
Yeah, I take back every time I said you'd be a great attorney. I take it all back right now after hearing that.
The other thing it reminds me of is that when you work at a library, the entire industry of self-help and personal financial advice books completely folds on itself. Also diet books, because it turns out you can just publish anything. Like, you could say almost anything and get a book published about it if you say it with enough confidence. And so I'll be shelving books in the particular section that these books go, and it's just like 18 books in a row on a shelf from decades apart from each other that just all making completely baseless advice claims. And it's like, wow, what a grift.
No kidding. That's amazing. But it's true though. People will just follow somebody who speaks with confidence. They have a certain persona to them, a certain image to them that people will just blindly follow. I find that absolutely fascinating. In fact, I've kind of thrived on it at different times so I got some stories where, like, for instance, I remember being at the Meadowlands I think it might have been Giant Stadium. I'm not even sure if it was MetLife even yet. And it's always so crowded coming out of there, right? So I was with a couple of friends, and I hopped out of the car. We're stuck in the traffic. I hopped out of the car, and I just started directing traffic. And with authority. He's like, oh, you waving on, you waving on. And I kept on doing it. And I wasn't being completely selfish because I had to put up the scam, right? So I was letting other people go by and stuff like that. But for the most part, I was guiding it so we would get there, get through there. And then, we got just to the point. And I'm like, all right, good. And I just hopped in the car and we split. It was perfect.
The ideal thing is just carry one of those high-vis vests. Like,
I've often thought that. In fact, I was at a garage sale just last week. Your mom wanted an estate sale. Mom wanted to go to. And I saw one of those vests there. I'm like, oh, I should pick that up because it can be kind of fun to play with. But I think I'm a little past that in my life now to be playing those kind of games.
There are times when I've toyed with that thought, where, especially like when we lived in New Jersey, riding NJ Transit, seeing obnoxious ads everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, just takes like a hex key. If I just got a high-vis vest and a hex key, I could change this out to be whatever I wanted. But of course I never did because, I'm terrified of power.
Yeah.
I just have so much restraint.
Yeah, that's what it is. You're terrified of power. That's what it is. Would you rather have to always say everything on your mind or never speak again?
Speak out loud?
Yeah. Well, how do you speak? How do you not speak out loud?
I'd learn sign language.
Do you know sign language?
I don't now, but I would learn.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And that's true. That's true. It's a really good caveat you brought up there. Yeah, and Erin didn't go with that caveat. She just said, "You know me. I'll just say I always say everything on my mind anyway. What's the difference?"
that imparts no consequences to her.
Yeah, exactly. None at all. But what do you think?
I think I would learn sign language.
What if you had to speak it?
I don't know. I always come up against the friction of these questions where I'm looking for a way out,
Good.
speaking
No, that's good.
everything.
No, I'll take whatever because sometimes those are the gems when you.
Like, I would have to be constantly speaking, which would mean I'd have to be like, and now I'm thinking of something to
Oh.
say, and I'm currently thinking of something to say, and right now I'm thinking of something to say.
You would have no friends.
Yeah.
Everyone would be. You would have gotten your ass kicked. You'd
I
be
lay
dead
down
by
to go
now.
to bed. I'm trying to fall asleep right now. I'm trying to fall asleep right now.
But not only that, you're on a public transportation. Oh boy, you really smell. Oh man, your hair is a mess.
Oh, yeah.
That could be a real problem.
Yeah, walk slower, why don't you?
Right. Think about all of those sarcastic things that go through your head all the time,
Yeah.
and you edit out. Yeah, that could be a problem. I think you'd have to.
I
But
would.
never speak again. Though is brutal.
There's gotta be a way around this. You write things down, there's gotta be, because having no communication at all is different from never speaking.
That's true. So you actually, if you're not speaking, you could even have a chip or maybe a little wire or something like that, or something projecting to something that will say what you're thinking.
Yeah, it would either be a tremendous benefit or it would kill me instantly,
Yeah.
depending on where in the 150 years we are until those come out.
Oh, see now, but if you're able to look into the future, you might know. As John had said back in one of the first podcasts I did, he's like, "Can we combine these? Can we combine all these would you rather's into one scenario?"
Right.
Would you rather get paid? Would you rather get paid $500 every time you make someone laugh, or $10,000 every time you make someone cry?
It is way easier to make somebody laugh than to
No,
make them cry.
right. For you, right? Probably not for everybody. No, it's true. It's true.
That's a good point. Yeah. If I worked in HR at a big company in layoff season, I'm making bank, but I think that would be perfect.
You could choose your profession based on that.
You're fired.
Yeah, you can be as happy as hell, but you're still gonna make them cry.
I just send that mass email, and it's just like,
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
wow, look at my bank account. Water lily babies, they swim into your heart. I'm guessing next to it on the shelf was like a pretend toaster that you're all supposed to play with in the